Hello Uganda, good evening and welcome to the show On The Spot. My name is Patrick Kamara. Tonight we look at the journey 2026 because different individuals are crisscrossing the country trying to convince Ugandans to give them the mandate to lead. And we have also seen some parties coming together, some newly formed parties also making alliances, thinking that maybe through these alliances they can get their way to political power. And so tonight we'll be asking, can these alliances make a difference in Uganda's political journey as the campaigns begin full throttle? Let me introduce my panel this evening. I have the Honorable Moses Kabusu, the Member of Parliament for Chamuswa in Kalangala District. I have the Honorable Nabila Sempala, former woman MP for Kampala District, and also have the Honorable Gerald Karuhanga. A warm welcome to all of you. Honorable Gerald Karuhanga, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Good evening, sir.
Thank you, and I'm glad to be here. Good evening.
Honorable Nabila Sempala, you are a person I saw when you were still a councillor until you became a woman MP. I can almost call you a legend, but still you are still a young lady. With all respect, I don't know what to say. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Kamara. Thank you. I think we've grown up together.
I think we did.
On parallel fields.
Yes, yes. And a man with a good name, Kabusu. There are not very many people who have a name Kabusu. I just know a geographical entity called Kabusu, but I have a Moses Kabusu from Chamuswa. Thank you so much for joining us.
Welcome, Patrick.
So let me begin with you, Mr. Gerald Karuhanga. The alliances we've seen, there's something called the PFF, which I think you know that has come on board, but also there's Alliance for National Transformation where you belong. But literally, it's very hard for me to know which is which because I look at you as people that broke away from FDC. And yesterday I saw people celebrating that now you see the new kids on the block are getting together. But really, there's nothing getting together. You have been the same. You have split away from FDC. You're weaker. You cannot cause any political impact or earthquake. I'm saying this with a lot of respect because I have observed Uganda's trends when I see the two groups splitting. When you split and come back together, is that an alliance really?
There is so much to celebrate and so much promise for this country. You know, many times you can have misunderstandings, you can have a bit of difference in opinion, and sometimes that can cause a bit of friction. And so, whereas yes, most of the colleagues now that belong to the corporation that you have between PFF and ANT, originally most of them really were in FDC. It's also true that a number of others were never actually part of these two, and or even the original FDC. So we have a number of new members that indeed joined, let's say, ANT, and probably have also joined PFF that were never part of the original ANT. But two, and most critical, the essence of cooperation is to basically initiate a platform that one, that raises the bar of hope, that two, that gives credence and an opportunity to those who want to come together, those who believe in decent politics, that would love to fight a decent fight to transform this country. And so we believe that this is not just only about the two entities coming together. We believe we are creating a foundation, a good ground for people who genuinely mean to cause change in the political governance of this country. And so this for me is probably what all Ugandans have been asking. Why is it that, for instance, our brothers and sisters in Kenya can get together and appreciate that, you know, in the circumstances, irrespective of their own political ambitions, they could pursue this particular cause that they all want, and they do it. So we are saying it's actually also possible here. We could create a vehicle, a window, where we sit down and agree. I mean, there will always be points of disagreement. There will always be points of departure. But then at the end of the day, there is what is called the common good.
So what is what is the common good?
The common good is basically the people of Uganda. The people of Uganda have gone through very complex times in the last 40 years and plus. And so, finally, this person...
To serve the people of Uganda and what you call the common good, different political parties have different political ideologies. You are anchored differently. How would you again merge these ideologies that sometimes are actually very different?
Patrick, recently...
Or you don't have?
Recently, UBOS raised the statistics and was very clear that 14 million Ugandans have one set of clothes. That one shirt, one trouser, one dress. Meaning when they wash their clothes, go to bed naked, put on the same clothes the following day. Now, these challenges that these Ugandans face, to be honest, for us the leaders, sometimes you can insist in our own political belongings, but the challenges that Ugandans face, and even the consistent pressure that we've had from the clergy, the elders, the children singing their songs in schools, please come together, reunite this country, show us that sense of unity for purpose. And so we are saying, this is what we have to do. We must heed the call. The people have spoken, and the leaders must listen. That we must get together and cause change.
But really, what do you bring on the table? What kind of political clout and capital does the Alliance for National Transformation bring? Considering that you are very badly exposed in the last election, with all respect, exposed in the last election. You were just hitting like Katumba Oye. You are that level.
Patrick, you also need to appreciate the circumstances in which we are operating in. I can tell you for a fact
Have they changed?
They haven't, and that's why it's important that we cannot do the same thing the same way we've always done it. So, and that's, it even reminds me, many times people say, oh, but you know, why you people are not approaching these things this way? And we're saying, but wait, this way you are telling us it's the same way we've always done things before. And so I think one of the critical things that one needs to do in this country is to restore hope among the populace. The citizenry must appreciate that indeed, that we must resolve this finally. How come for almost every election we get over 50% almost not registered voters not turning up to vote?
Okay, let me come
so that we must deal with it and restore this hope, restore the confidence that the leaders can get together and focus on the country.
Let me come to you, Honorable Nabila Sempala. You are such a force in this city, but somehow, I don't know whether you're losing the shine, but at one point you are in FDC, I think before that probably the DP, and the last election you're trying the new National Unity Platform. Pretty much like an inspector of political parties. So where are you now?
No, I actually have to correct you. I was a member of the FDC for 15 years. I served as a member of Parliament for Kampala City on the FDC ticket for 15 years. That's 3 terms. That's not somebody who hops around.
And before FDC?
No, there were no parties before. 2006 was the first time that political parties actively participated in elective politics.
I saw you fighting hard to get a new flag last time.
No, I didn't fight hard, actually. I was offered the flag. I fought hard to represent FDC as a Lord Mayor candidate, and that saw them recruit a DP independent, Elias Lukwago, albeit not, I think I forced that merger because I was here on NTV when I was with the Secretary General of FDC, Nandala.
It reminded me of a very cantankerous kind of show because at that moment you guys almost lost it.
No, we didn't lose it. I think FDC had already lost it. And that was just a play. It was symbolism of what was happening within FDC. It just had an opportunity to play out on national TV. And shortly after that, you saw where is FDC? There's PFF, there's ANT. Those are all splinter groups.
So where are you?
Right now, I'm a Ugandan.
We are all Ugandans.
Oh, yes. I'm a Ugandan, and right now I'm very wary of something called political parties. Because I think they're opportunistic entities that prey on the hopelessness that Ugandans feel in the political arena. And every time there's an election coming, pending, they come out as vultures, smelling the prey, to prey on the people of Uganda, to say, finally, we have something for you. We've all been victims because we hoped that democratic dispensation that brought in multipartism would yield something. But what I've seen is their key people who want to take advantage of the quest for change in this country. And what I see right now, I've had PFF, honestly. I don't know if PFF does it, because most people in the PFF were DP, actually, most of them. But I think the only linkage between, because I think my colleague here was DP, he has never been FDC. I see a few individuals who took advantage of the FDC momentarily. And right now, I think ANT, I know ANT is something good that split away from FDC. However, when I heard that ANT was talking actually even remotely, considering, not even like talking or allying, but considering joining a radical group that actually hounded them out of the FDC, I am in shock. What I know is that the two...
So the radical group is PFF?
I don't know if it's the radical group. It is a very power-hungry group.
Again, you talk about PFF?
Yeah. They are individuals. Because PFF has not existed, I cannot say PFF. Because we've not tested PFF. Because we don't know what PFF is.
So these individuals in PFF are power-hungry?
Yes, are power-hungry.
But every politician would want to have power and retain power. That's the game of a politician.
It's not
you want power, he wants power, he wants power. And you want to hold it and hold on to it.
It should not be at all costs. And that's why I see, like my colleague, the current City Lord Mayor, he's a permanent DP. I think he says, he's always said he's a life member of DP. It's from his own mouth. But when
is he on loan now in PFF?
I don't know. I don't know if he was loaned in FDC for this term. I don't know what PFF and ANT, what I feel sad for is I know colleagues who are in ANT, I've worked with them, I've worked with him, they are sober people. All I can see that they're going to be used for this time around and they'll be dropped like hot charcoal.
Mr. Kabusu, what do you make of the politics of coalition in Uganda, especially in this time?
Yes, Patrick. Once again, our viewers, a good evening. I have shared experience with the Honorable Nabila Nagai and the Honorable Gerald Karuhanga. Unfortunately, when they were in FDC, I was not in FDC. By the time I joined FDC, both of them had left to other political formations. And gladly now, with the new force that we are looking at, a cooperation between the People's Front for Freedom and the Alliance for National Transformation. I know the Honorable Nabila, we just invite you to let's rejuvenate our forces. Our indeed opinions are not any different. Our objectives still stand, and the commitment to offer something better for this nation is what we are for. Now, Patrick, all Ugandans outside there have been asking us political actors, why don't you work together? They have had experience elsewhere in the nearby democracies, including the closest in the East African community, the Kenya, where politicians would have individual wishes, their constituency wishes, but there comes a call for them to work together as a team, probably provide a platform where all political actors come together and maybe take over leadership and serve the nation. So our people, the ones we ask for votes in our different constituencies, we always ask us, why don't you work together? There is always not easy, and it is not easy to champion a way to work together. Because even when I have a political party like mine, the People's Front for Freedom, and if there is anybody in my constituency who wants to contest against me, ordinarily the politicians have either some intrigue, some hate character against each other. And when a political party persuades them that please leave it for Kabusu, he says, I will never leave it because I have a beef, I have a bone to crack with Kabusu. That has been a challenge to all of us, most political actors. It is now a clarion call to all Ugandans to put Uganda first. There are differences we have gone through. There are differences, and these differences may not end today. But what picture do we have for the Uganda, with or without us, tomorrow?
So let me ask, do you really think that PFF, which is registered the other day,
yes,
with a lot of struggle,
yes,
has not been tested in terms of contestation for power, and joining the Alliance for National Transformation makes it a bigger force to reckon with?
Patrick, there is nothing strong as a union or a unity. Whether it is of smaller entities or smaller bodies, when they are united, they can force a change that powerful individuals or historical individuals have failed. I had actually myself wondered.
You see, this is very difficult even to call it a union, because both ANT and PFF, a few years back, you are in a whole entity called FDC.
Yes.
And this big FDC that you are together and united, who has been beaten by Museveni 4 times. He has a record to show. In fact, tell him to bring FDC and all of you guys. He's ready to beat you. Why? Because he has done it before. He can do it again. He has a long record for that.
And nobody refutes that. The way Mr. Museveni wins or is declared a win of elections, every one of us here knows. I've participated in an election where I've organized my candidature, my campaigns, and at the end of the day, at the victorious stage, I'm told that it is me who has lost. Everybody comes to wonder, how have I lost? How has it happened? I've even gone to court and challenged the results of an election. And I will tell you I will have a long story to tell. So it is with candidates at a presidential candidate level. I've been part of the legal team that went to court. By that time, I was a young lawyer then. I saw what evidence we had to relay before court and how courts judged that actually there was reasons for them to annul the results of an election, but probably the evidence was not sufficient for them to annul or to tamper with the results of an election. And even a first-year law student would disagree with them.
It will be extremely hard.
Option for
it will be extremely hard. And this is, okay, may sound like an opinion.
Yes.
For PFF and ANT to have 100 people picking forms to run for constituencies in at least 100 places. That alone is going to be a Herculean task. That in some cases you won't find candidates to carry a flag.
What flag will it be?
That's
I don't know, a PFF and T something flag.
That can be possible.
Sorry?
Why do you think so? Because, for instance, and maybe if it's about presenting candidates, I don't think that honestly that's a big problem. Because if you check the records, ANT alone in the previous election, we had more than almost 3/4 of parliamentary candidates' positions. And so we could, you know, it's understandable when you are young and you're trying to put something together, and so you can easily dismiss it. But there's something that we must remember here. If we recall way back, we were in an organization, yes, called FDC, and yes, there was some disagreement, and it was largely on principle. Some thought that maybe we could pursue defiance and defiance only. And then others, especially majority of us who formed ANT, believe that we need a structured party that still also respects and can accommodate defiance. Now, that would cause a very, very stiff friction for a number of years. So we decided to part ways. But amidst in all that, it appears there was also, I think, there could be some individuals, as time has shown, who seemed indeed, as Honorable alluded to, that maybe would even have preferred scattering the organization. So, and that's why we say, okay, look, and this is my appeal now to Honorable Nabila, that please, if there is one of the very, very good and wonderful mobilizers that I've seen in this country, is Honorable Nabila. She's so on ground when she means to do it, and she relates with the youth so well. So the country called Uganda, amidst all the mess that there may be in our different entities, still needs us. And so we are not going to sit and say, let there be a decent organization and we become members of it. No, we must create it. We must create this space.
But you see, we seem to see you doing the same thing, but this time around you're expecting different results. In fact, Honorable Nabila is just showing you a red flag that the people you're joining are going to devour you. At one point, we disagreed on principle because one group wanted to defiance and another group wanted to, mobilization and building grassroots. And you're back together, but you don't agree.
No, actually, this was the thing. It appears there was some group that was radically opposed to the fact that the two can coexist. That you can have defiance and build a grassroots structured organization. And so what the impression now, at least so far what we have, is that the two entities now that have come together, those that believe that actually these two can coexist, that these approaches are not in conflict, that actually they buttress each other. Now, if you want to defy, you probably need wonderful structures in a given region or a given
But
country.
If I were you, I would take the words of Honorable Nabila Sempala very seriously, because as a seasoned politician who understands the people you're dealing with, you should take a break and think about what she's telling you. You are going to be devoured by people who are power hungry. She knows the individual. She has worked with them. I don't know why you don't want to address that.
I think Honorable Nabila looks at them in the original bracket.
They have changed.
They have since been on the Damascus Standard
I
Road.
think there has been some distinction
Over
now.
time.
I think there is a group that probably remained, as we all know, that remained at National Nkumbi. We all know that. So I think, unfortunately, there was no coercion or even any enticement either to remain at National Nkumbi or come this way. So people made their independent, smart decisions and said, this is where I belong. So we believe that these entities have leaders that and if you check them, most of the track record of the leaders that belong to these two entities, I mean, you will see people who have consistently sacrificed so much for the benefit, for the greater good of our country.
I look at ANT, when you look at the animal world and the animal kingdom, it teaches a lot of things. When you go to the field, he told us that we are all looking for power. In the animal kingdom, there are carnivores that go hunting. But the hunting methods of a leopard is committed to hunting its food. It's a lone hunter, but it will hunt and expend its own energy. Whereas hyenas, they can run, they could actually hunt, but they choose not to hunt. they opportunistically hover around prides, lions, or even go and pursue lone hunters like leopards to snatch their prey. I'm looking at ANT as seasoned hunters who will go and say, yes, we'll expend our energy, we will mobilize. But then their highness, who you are allying with. People, let me tell you, what we are seeing in FDC, sometimes we deprive honor and credit where due. When we look at the people who we benefited from, like PAFO. These two entities owe PAFO an apology, because that was an entity that brought constituencies to the FDC. But they are individuals who are not part of PAFO. Who contaminated the formation, the forum, because it became a forum, Reform Agenda and PAFO. When we don't draw back, and the youth who are watching this program may not understand how FDC came to be formed. It was an alliance of people who held constituencies from different parties, DP, UPC, NRM. Reform Now came and benefited out of the constituencies of PAFO. Now, we come 10 years later. I saw those cracks 2 years into the party. 2008, I was in shock. A 2-year-old party, FDC. As somebody who was observing, you remember Jessie in Animal Farm? I think I've been a Jessie of sorts. She's a female figure. She made these observations and warned the boxers. Boxer, Napoleon does not mean well. Where did Boxer end? Butcher's table.
Survival of the fittest. You know.
No, he had overgrown.
Gentlemen and lady, hold on to your points. Hold on to your points because we're going to take a break, and on the spot we'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching On the Spot. My name is Patrick Amar. My guests tonight I have Mr. Moses Kabusu from Kyamuswa constituency in the islands of Kalangala. I have the Honorable Nabila Sempala Nagayi and the Honorable Gerald Karuhanga, and we're talking, the coalitions that we see lately. You know, if I may begin this segment with you, Moses, I have seen now opposition members of parliament, turning the guns against themselves. You have one person you want to dislodge from power, but you'll find maybe NUP is concentrating its guns on Mpuga, and Mpuga is doing the same, and others. Then you'll find yourselves, you're looking at Nandala Mafabi and Engineer Muriati on the other side. There's Katonga versus Najana Nkumbi, and now these people come. I mean, NRM and their chairman, President Museveni, must be really laughing all the way, because at one point he said, I am going to finish them. And you wait, you and see. And he was almost prophetic.
Unfortunately, he has not succeeded in doing it. He's investing a lot in achieving that. I know to some extent there are some scores in that attempt, but they are Ugandans. Gerald, as he is, him after losing elections, the way he lost, would probably have said, let me go and look for avenues to work with him. I have lost. I don't know what it will be after 5 years. Politics sometimes is like a bag. When it has hit you, you almost get an addiction of sorts. Yeah, but
you never let it go, or it doesn't let you go.
It's like journalism.
She's always the comeback in.
There are some people whom we do not know where they are. but they exist and they are very useful and helpful in the political formation and struggles. There are people now in politics who, of course, confuse both. They want to achieve political power, but are also taken up by monetary compromises. There we have them. They are in every political party. Like Honorable Nabil has been talking about the people from whom FDC came from. The others who went back to work with Museveni now. The others who said they have served enough, let other people go. The others who said no, the way Dr. Besigye wants the party to run is not how I wished it to run. You know? So in politics, you have talked about the battles between the NUP and the Mpuga team. There are actors in politics who look at themselves egocentrically. They are not looking at a picture better than what they are in that room. There are opportunities they can explore if they went to the western part of Uganda, the eastern part of Uganda, the northern, but they concentrate on tearing each other. That one is common. But Patrick, it's not coincidental. It has a history. When the NRM disbanded political parties and political formations, for all the years until the Semogerere constitutional petition that opened up for political parties, for the time the parties had been suffocated, there is also a similar time we have to suffer to persuade Ugandans appreciate how political parties work, what are they for. You know, not even NRM has anything different from these other political formations. What they are different from us is that they have, probably they have been in power, they have positions, and ability to spend public coffers to buy off or to influence decisions of the masses. But they're not any different. They are not.
Honorable Sempala, you seem not to really be embracing the politics of coalitions, and you don't think this will go well. Why are you negative on this?
I've seen two coalitions. I talked about the coalition that formed the FDC, Reform Agenda and PAFO. 2011, there was IPC Interparty Coalition. And I was on NEC in FDC. And after the elections in 2011, I asked my party president then, Dr. Besigye, to give us a review and accountability of the Interparty Coalition. Actually, that's the time Dr. Besigye said, you think parties will work? If you want parties, you know, manage the party, but I don't think parties are the way to go. I quote people, and when people tell me something, I believe them. I didn't impute things they are not. If you don't believe in political parties, you don't. So even if it's after 5 years or 10 years, you won't have changed your mind because it's a fundamental principle that you believe in. And in that NEC meeting, I had the opportunity to say, now, if you don't believe in parties, why are you still president of the party? And actually, in a very simple...
I think he meant that the parties cannot do much in the circumstances they are working in with Museveni at the helm of the country.
So what has changed? Nothing has changed. What I believe is, at that time, I believed that we could still work on the FDC. And that's why, after a contested election, internal election, gentlemen took power. The people who didn't believe in political parties shifted, and the foundation of PFF was formed on not accepting internal democracy. And that group went to Katonga. Now, after 10 years, suddenly it's a party What party? What principles? What are the internal dynamics within that party? What is new? Because those players that rejected an internal process, did not support it, hounded people out of FDC to ANT. I'll still say this. You cannot trust your goat with a crocodile.
You have joined the hyenas. The hyenas have come to you.
Now, Honorable Nabila, incidentally, we've been in this journey of politics around the FDC, Parliament, and I appreciate where Honorable Nabila comes from. She says it. She faced rough times, maybe not alone. And it's understandable sometimes when someone has this deep and strong reservation about a certain grouping, you could easily get it. However, I still want to come back to you, Honorable, that many times, just like families or companies, sometimes you may have a strong point of difference, and you think that maybe this is not my space. But because of the bigger picture, because of the bigger aim, because of this Ugandan, this child that still looks at Honorable Nabila as the inspiration that she saw when she was in primary 2, primary 3, and joined university, and say wonderful legislator, and say this lady gives me hope. Because of that human being, you sit back and you say, wait, I know there could be 1 or 2 issues, but maybe I still need to put in my energy and do what I need to do to make sure I keep this child, I keep this baby still with hope, but also they bring the efforts towards building a country. So what I'm trying to say is that even, I mean, honestly, I don't foresee, especially in politics, that you can very easily get an organization that is completely in unison in every approach. In fact, for me, the bigger challenge that we had, probably the mistake that we could have done largely, I think the processing, the establishment of a mechanism that processes these differences, I think that was never given serious attention. Because as long as political actors, you will disagree, you will fight, but the moment you establish a culture in an organization, say, you guys, we are going to disagree. But so, this is the way we will resolve our issues.
Honorable Nagai, let me ask this. You seem not to believe that coalitions can work now. What will?
Actually, the last time I talked about the IPC, and when it led in an internal process to have a new president who believes in political parties, the one that does not believe said, we'll go. 2015.
The time of TDA?
TDA. A whole retired colonel was stolen from a meeting. I don't know if there was a police case. Up to date, I don't know. He was kidnapped from the meeting, and that was the end. Actually, I don't know if you followed that, if there's still a police case of that kidnap. Who are the kidnappers? I don't know if some kidnappers are not going to go into the meeting of ANT.
The power of the people got him out of the meeting.
Let me tell you, honestly, on a serious note, I don't think Ugandans want to see like that comic display when something serious like an election is on table. And we owe Ugandans better. If we cannot deliver the democratic process through political parties, then maybe let people elect leaders who will serve them as communities, as constituencies, regardless of political parties.
On individual marriage?
Yes.
Yeah.
Patrick.
Yes.
He came as independent.
I largely disagree with the Honorable Nabila. The history she's reckoning on notwithstanding, we all have a history. It may be used to probably to mold what you can be, but you can't say because of the history I can't do this because of my history. We are here as a corporation. We are not new people to each other. At least we have worked together before.
You have clashed before?
We have clashed before.
You can clash again?
No problem with it. Whatever the disagreements that happened, the Honorable Karuhanga has told you, are not that we cannot coexist and work together. Patrick, I've represented clients in court, particularly in family division, where probably after the death of a head of family, and where a family had children born from different mothers, and the mothers have opinions on how property ought to be distributed or managed. A judicial officer attempts, there's a tendency of asking members, I mean litigants and their lawyers, to go and have mediation. You go before an independent arbiter to mediate between you. But still parties come before a judge and say, let the matter be decided, until the judicial officer says, but this is what I'm going to do. This is what the law tells me to do. And if I did it, are you any happy with what the decision will be? Until they will agree, probably after counseling of their lawyers, that let us pursue this option, and it's better. If this team disagreed, whatever the history they had, I was not party to the history, but I'm party to what they are now. My input should also be felt and respected. I should call upon people who were not party to their challenges to join me and work together. A union or unity coalition of parties is not bad. Unfortunately, the time we have to do this, to showcase, may be a short time. But let's give it a chance and opportunity to work. We appointed a 16-member committee, presumably 8 from either parties, to run the cooperation, to deliver the expectations. We are now meant to sweet talk our colleagues with whom we were or they were. There are others there. Even in the parties, the gentleman, too, as he addressed yesterday, he said we are talking to other political players. Let us work together. We don't need to single-handedly attack the bull. The bull, like I told you, Mr. Museveni is not any different. The advantage he has been in control of resources, government resources, and probably positions which we do not have. Let us use the little, reach out, showcase what we can do. Ugandans want us to work together. No matter the history there was, some of us were not part of that history,
you may sit here in Kampala, Gerard, and agree to make a coalition and sit in your marbled corridors of power and air-conditioned rooms, and you think this is it, it's going to make a difference, and you feel you're making sense, but you're making sense to yourselves. How about the people in Tungamba and Kyenjojo, where I come from? Are they really working with you? I
think they are, and actually, if you talk to any 5 or 10 people on any street in any of these small towns we have, or even in our villages, the demand has always been, why don't people work together? Why don't you people present us one grouping? Why is it so difficult? How do you all think that you can be presidents at the same time? But even if, let's say, President Museveni was not in the picture, what makes you think that all of you at the same time can be president? So this has been on for a long, long time. And actually, I think Ugandans are, for us, even if we choose to deal dull as let's say, leaders, Ugandans have, I think, gotten to this point of, I think for us, what we want is a country that looks out for us. And that's why you can even check instances. That's why when, for instance, we have a big sports match in Nambole, you will see Uganda there. Like the pursuit of what benefits Ugandans altogether brings us together. And people realize that, wait a minute, these fellows can focus on keeping us in their groupings. But for us, our challenges actually are common. The unemployment of a child in Arua is the same unemployment that the fellow in Busia is facing. So this has been on for some time. And I actually think that Ugandans have been way ahead of the leaders in wanting us to work together, to be united and focus on them, on the Ugandans.
Haven't you had a failure of messaging? Because it looks like members of the opposition have just been fronting this thing, Museveni must go again day. But what is it that you want to do for Uganda? Comes so it's not so obvious, not so evident.
Can I say this?
Yes.
My colleague Honorable Gerard talked about my strength in politics is speaking and listening to the common person, the woman on the ground. And what I've seen in the last 5 years is the deletion, omission of the women's voice in the opposition. That is a fundamental flaw. It's like the agenda, the women's agenda will come later. It's okay. Let's first handle, things. And women, let me tell you, when you look at revolutions on the continent, even when you look at the NRM, during the NRA war, the women were not nominal. The ANC, the women were not nominal. And judging from what's happening, like I say, it is a bandwagon theory of alliance. There are no fundamentals that have been considered. It is hasty, it is opportunistic, it will not yield anything. And for me, as somebody who's in Kampala, actually I've been here for around 2 weeks. And when I came in, I've been slowly, this is the first, NTV is the first I've gone out to really talk about politics. I've been going around Kampala in the night, borders, the women. You know what I've heard? Kampala is ready to do a cocktail, but their cocktail, the Kampala cocktail. They'll elect a DP if that person will serve the constituency. They elect an FDC if that person will serve the constituency. They'll elect a new person, but they'll not be taken for granted again, 2026.
There's no more wave?
No.
Politics.
Yeah.
Well, hold on to your point. Gentlemen and lady, hold on, because we're going to take a break, and on the spot we'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching On the Spot. My name is Patrick Amar, and my guests tonight are Honorable Moses Kabusu, Honorable Nabila Sempala Nagai, and Honorable Gerard Karuhanga, and we're talking politics of coalitions. So I suppose all of you are going back to ask the people to give you a mandate, and yet I know, Honorable Nagai, probably you're getting into the race again, are you?
Yes, I am.
Where? Which constituency?
Kampala.
You want to be a Lord Mayor again?
Oh yes, but not again. I want to reclaim.
To run for it, okay.
I want to reclaim the people of Kampala's mandate, because I think when it comes to politics, Kampala has been the punching bag of like both the opposition and government. It's like it's where it starts. It's where they think the people are gullible. It's easier there. You'll see that now people are leaving regions, whole regions. So it's harder in Busoga. I think Kampala is easier. Oh, it's harder in the West. I think Kampala is easier. Do you know how that makes Kampala people feel? It's like they're being taken advantage of. They're being taken for granted. And I think it's very unfair.
So you're saying the people who don't belong, those who are...
It's not about belonging.
So what do you mean?
It is about national.
They too are national.
No, it's about
and
national.
And have a stake in Kampala.
Yes.
Let me tell you, it's not about... Kampala should not be the focal point
because you seem to suggest
politics.
That there is them and us. You're putting a dichotomy.
No, let me tell you, every constituency, I would be a stranger going to Mbale. Not because I'm not a Ugandan. I can go there. But I have to bear in mind that I have to know what the people of Mbale want. I have to know the ground. It's okay for me to be anywhere, but have I cultivated enough reason for people to seek that mandate? And actually, I've seen it internationally. You know what political parties do? That's why they have delegates from particular constituencies, informing them, not them just determining. And when you say power belongs to the people, power does not belong to parties. Power belongs to the people. And I think sometimes when we're talking about parties, sometimes parties hijack the democratic process. And for me, I think, where is the balance? And I'll say that for the last couple of years, Kampala voters have got a raw deal in terms of service delivery. 15 years, there's been a Lord Mayor. Like I said, I read people's lips. When they say, read my lips, this is somebody who has told Kampala that I'm not able to serve you, my hands are tied, but give me the vote. For 15 years. Do you know the impact of an office bearer rendering non-service but seeking re-election and being honest about it and unapologetic about it and say it's okay?
But let me put it like this, Honorable Moses Kawusu and others, I'm sure you who are going to seek re-election, you know you're going to be, if you can be re-elected, you're going to be elected, but also serve in an NRM-led kind of government. Do you really have it in you that you think you have a fighting chance to take power by the ballot, or you're just going there knowing that probably if you can, you will take the people of Kyamuswa, but as far as changing Uganda, the apex, that is near the impossible?
Patrick, my experience as an elected leader in the opposition is that after elections, there's less done by the office bearers. There's less done. And the problem most parties have, and I'm also worried, we are bound to suffer the same problem. Every political actor who comes to run or to participate in a political party activity, almost everyone wants to run for a political position. And that leaves the parties bare unattended to. Then thereafter, a little smaller people running the parties will also have conflict of interest with the office bearers. I saw this with the FDC, not by this time when I was in Parliament, but I used to hear some of the members complain that why would they be, and who are they anyway? So we need to build political parties stronger that have even ability. Okay, the recall is not very easy, but the ability to call to order political actors, or to deploy, or to direct such an activity be done. When I became member of Parliament this time, in the last 4 years, less has been organized for us as political, as the FDC where I have been, to go and say, let us go and expand tentacles in region ABCD where we have not been. That used to be, we used to do it differently in the UIDDP, where there was a mobilization strategy. Those young actors, they were then young people, but now they are older people. We would go to a region and arrange and organize, and this is not the case. So I think if we won elections this time, the strategy we should have is not only aiming at the position I'm holding, but how do we help another person who's not with us next time to come back with
okay.
the victory. Before you cut me short, there's a young man, he's called Kasule. Kasule is in ANT.
He used to be in FDC.
Yeah, he used to be in FDC. He lost elections narrowly. I remember he was in court, and I was the commission of oath. I commissioned his affidavits when he was going to court, narrowly. And unfortunately, I don't know if the force, I mean the part where he is trying to build him stronger, such that it was narrow. This time he wins it. Gerald Karuhanga lost elections narrowly. So our parties need to be seen working to see building stronger.
So now I think now you're going to find a very shrewd and even more experienced politician in the form of President Museveni and his NRM. He's been giving, as in a budget, 100 million Uganda shillings to every parish. It's called parish development model. This money is actually going direct to people's pocket. 100 million in every parish, for 5 years. So every parish, if you have about maybe 12 parishes in a sub-county, that's a 1.2 billion. And in 5 years, you have like almost 6 billion going to the, that is not something small. You have the women getting their grow project, about $200 million over to go to women. You have the Myoga, you have all this kind of stuff. People are beginning to make money from their coffee.
Patrick.
Let me tell you some of these things, because it is, to have direct money in people's pockets, it's a game changer.
Those are the same people lining up for 2,000 shillings.
Yes.
I saw the minister.
Yeah, because you too will
and
give the money.
The people who had got the 1 million are the ones on the line to get the 2,000 shillings. It has not changed anything. Not anywhere not in his constituency.
And now President Museveni is touring the PDM projects, which is more or less like the initial campaign. I mean, I know in Auntie you always say by the grace of God. Yes.
No.
Yes.
Seriously.
You know God is gracious, but
it's true that, for instance, PDM, they have dished out almost about 1 trillion shillings every year, and whereas this is supposed to be a lend out, it seems to be a handout. Though I am beginning to get an impression that Ugandans are beginning to realize that all of this, because this is not the first time, like you've enumerated, we've had on different occasions, different setups. From actually way back there was something called PEEP, and then something called PAP, Poverty Alleviation Program, Poverty Eradication Action. Then we got NADS, and then we got OWC, and then we got Myoga, and then we got PDM now. The thing is, there was also Bunabagagaware. Yeah, but if you trace any of these, and you really try to check the success of any of these trials, if they really were trials, I think you guys are like, wait a minute, isn't this actually playing on our minds? That every cycle, but if these fellows were serious about these things, why wouldn't they focus on a program?
But I'm told that the PDM money is actually coming direct to the beneficiary. So probably that's different now.
Well, I mean, I don't think Bonabagagaware money was also going to the people. And so I think Ugandans have come to realize that after 40 years of giving us different programs, how come our lives have not changed much? That I don't find it easier for me now to raise school fees for my children. That now I can't say now I have a bank account and I have some 10, 20 million shillings I've saved in the last 5 years. So I think in the past you could say that, yeah, maybe as time goes on, with the engagements that we've had through media and through all sorts of avenues, the Ugandans are beginning to appreciate that what the regime has been doing is create a facade of meaning good for them, being intentional about transforming their lives. And so that's why I keep and I don't know why I think it's high time we seriously interrogated why most of, actually it appears, because we know how also the statistics of the Electoral Commission sometimes look like, that why do Ugandans actually are more literally giving up on the elections? If these programs were working, people would be excited to show up. So it means that there is a story that we need to look into and say, for so long now, people have waited and said, maybe my household will change in the next 5 years. It doesn't change. In the next 5 years, now it has been 8 rounds. And so nothing much has really changed in their own settings. And so we believe that this time round, as we get to work together, and that's why I would like to comment on something probably that Honorable Nabila mentioned. This foundation we've created as a corporation, it wasn't actually rushed. And it's something that actually the public needs to know about this engagement. That we engaged each other for 120 days, and almost nobody in the public got to know about it. That we are busy working behind the scenes. That it wasn't as, and it's not as simple and as plain as people, the face of it now, yes, and we appreciate that people see, maybe it's one of those things, maybe because we've seen many others maybe before. But I can tell you the work that has been put in this, because this is not just about the two entities, no. This is about creating a platform that Ugandans who care to see a better country can come to and focus on the needs, on the challenges that Ugandans face.
All right, Honorable Nabila, the issue of money in the elections is a big deal.
Yeah.
It has been introduced. The Ugandans sometimes will expect money. And so how do you intend to mobilize the resources and then dish out to the Ugandans? I'm told to run for MP alone. And some of us maybe would even be trying to haggle for a constituency. But to start with, just warm up, you need like $1 billion. So, well, and that does not even guarantee you.
Yeah. I can say this. I want to borrow from my colleagues here. He talks about the role of political parties. He talked about the role of real political parties, the history of political party activities in this country. He's talking about the monetization. I want to merge the two and I say, one, Ugandans, if it was not about money, most people would not be elected. Because I don't think politicians are the richest people. Others people would just come and buy elections. Somebody will say, I'm a trader, I think I need this money, and I'm going to do this. So there is much more that it goes into being an elected leader. But all I can say is, one, there seems to be a deficit of ideas, especially policy ideology from political parties when it comes to the national and local politics. Most people, when they look at Uganda, they want to tell them about that seat. The elections that continuously impact the voter are the local elections. And most political parties ignore the dividends of local leadership on a national general election. Most people right now in Kampala, I'll talk about Kampala, the constituency I know. People are evaluating elections based on the performance of councillors, of LC3 chairmen, and of mayors. Leave alone at the national. Because this person is nearer them. They see these people. They understand what the mandate of local government is. I don't see political parties really talking to these people and say, well, in local elections, this is what's happening. We see an exodus of elected councillors in Kampala. People elected, got loans and ran away from Kampala.
Let me just hold on. Let me tell the viewers, wherever you are, this is the moment when I would want you to have your say. You're going to see the number on the screen. Pick your phone and call us and tell us what you think about these coalitions and the January 2026 general election. Tell us your name and where you're calling from, and please remember to be precise and concise so that we can have as many views as possible. And in the case you disagree with the panel here, that's in order, but remember to disagree with respect. So let the calls come in. Yes, hello. I have a call online. Hello.
My name is what?
Yes.
And I'm calling from Center.
All right.
I would like to emphasize that coalitions are very good for Uganda. And as Ugandans, we are very much prepared to see that PFF and the anti-plus other political organizations get together to ensure that we can be able to fight harder than the way we have been fighting. The issues regarding to the anger of Nabila, I believe she needs to manage it. In Kampala, specifically, she lost too much that she cannot build anything. And there are people within the political arena of Uganda that we don't even need to talk about them, because as Ugandans, really, they have been so pivotal in building Uganda, in fighting for human rights. The likes of Lukwago and Dr. Besigye, they don't need to be discussed so easily like that, like Nabila opens up and begins discussing Dr. Besigye to such an extent. Dr. Besigye is a hero for us Ugandans. We shall never never fail to think about Dr. Besigye. It comes with a lot of pain for us to hear the discussions of Dr. Besigye by Nabila to such an extent. You see these issues of Honorable Nabila running up and down, Canada stories, Ebanyamureva and Poropate and Sempala. She completely diminished herself from the political arena of the Uganda, and nobody is going to vote her, and she's a liar, and we don't believe that.
You have made your point. You have made your point.
Yeah.
You have made your point. Thank you very much. It's okay to disagree, and that's the nature of debate. But let's remember to disagree with respect. I'm still opening the line so they can have so many views as much as possible, but I won't give you much more time like I did for the first caller. So let me hello, what's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm Tuheyo calling from Kasokoso.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
I'm called Tuheyo calling from Kasokoso.
From Kasokoso. Okay, go right ahead, sir.
Yes, one of the problems we have in our politics is the word you call attrition. Unfortunately, that attrition of ours here, we have the same people rotating around, having good intentions, but not progressing because they are not like getting other ambitious people to replace them with the same agitation, with the aim, with the same intention for the country. Otherwise, our country is suffering, is having that stagnation because the same people are rotating around. So,
You made your point. The same people are rotating around, and that is causing stagnation. That's a caller there from Kasokoso. Thank you very much. Probably I'm going to take maybe 2 more calls, and then I can have my panel make their final concluding remarks. So, yes, I have a call online. Hello. Having communication challenges there. So, would you want to respond very quickly, Nabila?
I can say the usual chauvinistic responses from political actors that I'm talking about who really support opposition, diminishing and minimizing the women representation on personal issues. Like I said, I don't see the voice of women and the agenda of women. When someone talks about the opposition, will come and say, oh, you're just a woman. By the way, are you married? What happened in your personal life? Because that's what has been, maybe, they have been mentored in such a way. And when I see such a person saying he's a PFF person, and I've been saying that maybe we need to do better and organize and have maybe the women's agenda prioritized. Because if the women's agenda was prioritized, the proponents of political formations like this would not actually articulate like that. Mm-hmm. But all I can say is, with all that said, I don't think he disagreed with me, but I think he chose to like diminish me as a woman. And so maybe to him that justified the political discussion. And like I say, I always say this, the population that is watching us, they are all genders, they listen. And so Honorable Nabila talked about the dynamics of those actors, not in their personal, but in how they related politically in a political platform. Then someone says, oh, those are my heroes, but you, I think you quarreled with your husband. Now, for me, I think unless we elevate the bar, we raise the bar of political ideology and the message we have for the common voter. Because when I sit here, by the way, when we are 4 people, Africans, or the population is very observant. The women looking out there, they look at me as a representation, even on this panel. And they mind what I say, what I speak. And they say, okay, maybe we are going to see what's happening. But all I can say is, going forward, my points are clear. Kampala is going to vote individuals who are going to articulate their issues as we pursue the national change that we need. So you won't promise somebody, don't worry, you'll go hungry for 10 years. That's not my problem. But you'll go hungry for 10 years as the people on the panel or in the political parties want position so that they earn and feed their families.
Okay, our time is out, gentlemen and lady. Let me begin with you, Moses, your concluding remark.
A little different from what?
You're parting short.
Okay. Briefly, I wanted to appeal to my people in Chamuswa and Uganda at large. Politics has every politician has a history. Let that history not derail or be an impediment to what somebody can deliver. And in this cooperation, we are looking at more actors, and the media will be telling you how we are progressing. Please, if you don't know anything, first seek knowledge, ask us, and we shall explain. Don't judge us. We have a lot to deliver, even in a short time. We are committed, and not. We are sure we can do something.
All right.
Then my people in Chamswa, some of them were asking me now, why wouldn't you join this force? This force, please accept me. I can't be a member of every religious faith. I can't be a member of every clan in Uganda. I should be my clan, my faith, but serve you all. Do not force me to be any party, like I should not force you. Judge me from my performance and how I present my issues. The best is with us while working together. Thank you, Moses. Gerald, what's going to be a parting shot?
Hope is what gets us wake up to go and work. It's what keeps us alive and gives us the audacity to still question or engage in some of the complexities that we live with. And so I believe that this great platform that is still so fresh, the best we should do is give it every respect, but also every support. Because what Ugandans are looking out for is a grouping of Ugandans who care about their challenges or who care about transforming their lives. We must, if there is anything else, we may have all sorts of differences, we may have some issues that will keep us, away from each other, but the interests, these challenges that we all know that Ugandans have gone through for so long, must bring us together for one particular reason, to find a solution and forge the most credible but practical way that can solve their challenges.
Thank you. Honorable Nabila, your concluding argument.
Yes, I want to thank the NTV and yourself for bringing this very timely topic of, because it's fresh, like you said, but I can add it's delicate too. And all I can say is that, as my colleague Honorable Kabusu said to the people of Chamuswa, that don't judge him by his political party, judge him by his works. It goes to say, every constituency in Uganda, including Kampala, should evaluate their leaders based on what they do and not what they say. Because saying for politicians is so easy. So I can say right now, let the people be very observant and choose wisely with their vote.
All right. Honorable Nabila Sempala Nagai, thank you so much for your time. Honorable Moses Kabusu from Chamuswa, thank you, sir. Honorable Gerald Karuhanga, I want to thank you, all of you. You've been phenomenal on these issues. You understand the politics of Uganda pretty much like the back of your hand, and I hope the people of Uganda, wherever they are in different constituencies, will be able to give you the mandate to represent them again. And Uganda, we've been there. Sometimes we have gone through, tough times, tumultuous past, but I believe in the people of Uganda. We always pull through. Even this time around, Uganda, we shall pull through. Good night, and God bless Uganda.